Having won in Monte Carlo, François Delacour went to Portugal on a high. He was leading the championship and he was now regarded as the fastest driver on asphalt. That would help him on the opening stages as we go on board in the escort with Delacour and Grattelou. The Frenchman was immediately on the pace, winning 8 of the first 11 stages, leading by some 4 seconds at the end of the opening day.
100 mètres, gauche 130 intérieur à fond, gauche 130 intérieur à fond, 100 mètres, 195 long, 195 long.
Juha Kankkunen couldn't quite match Delacour's pace on day one, although he knew that despite being caught by Mickey Biasion, Kankkunen would have an advantage when the rally hit gravel. Biasion was quick, but admitted he needed to go harder to catch the tarmac kings ahead. Andrea Raghini, run by the Italian Grifoni team, was driving the car that Didier Auriol used last year in Argentina. And Auriol himself was rapid and inspired on the opening stages, spectacular for the fans to look at. Carlos Sainz had a trying morning. He spun 200 metres before the end of a stage and had to reverse over the line at great speed, frightening spectators and marshals as he did so. Bruno Thierry was still learning about the Ford Escort, but felt a bit happier here on the dry tarmac. And Colin McRae was regularly trading stage times with his teammate Carlos Sainz. At service on the opening day, François Delacour had a good lead. He'd been virtually uncatchable in the morning, and he was in relaxed mood as the Ford team set to work on the Escort. The opposition would come from Kankkunen, but for now the Frenchman looked like making it 2 in a row.
It's okay. At the moment I am leading, then everything is alright, but I have only 30 seconds in front of Kankkunen, about 30, and Mickey the same. And the car is, I have a very good feeling with the car, of course, because I am leading, and I have also the good feeling with the S22. I had only a little problem in the 5th special stage with the tire was completely destroyed at the end, but I think we were very, very fast.
No, it looks good, yes. The weather is nice and stages are okay, a bit still slippery because it was raining so heavily that, you know, bring a lot of mud and gravel on the road. But we have good guys in front of us to marking the places, so no problem so far.
Francois had a few tyre problems, wore one down to the canvas. Did you have any problems?
Not really, I mean, they have been working well.
Having lost those 30 seconds or so with his punctures, Delacour was determined to make up time as the rally headed for the super special stage at the Lusada Rallycross circuit. Here, cars in pairs were pitted head-to-head and against the clock. Delacour was up against his teammate Mickey Biasion. This stage was designed more for the spectators than any sort of competitive mileage for the drivers, but sadly it was to be Delacour's undoing. Both he and Biasion were very spectacular as they flung the Escort around the tight and twisty circuit, although Delacour knew he had to go for it to try and open up his lead. And then it all went horribly quiet inside the Escort. The 2-litre turbo car had dropped a valve and Delacour's rally was over. That left Mickey Biasion as the leading Ford driver, but on gravel he was going to be no match for Kankkunen and would fall back, while Delacour was bitterly disappointed and out of the rally. Biasion went as hard as he could. He was very worried about the way that Kankkunen was flying. With Ford's hopes resting on Biasion's shoulders, he never backed off for a minute, but the recognised gravel rally maestro Kankkunen was soon through and into the lead. His only opposition would have come from Delacour. With the Frenchman out of the event, Kankkunen now had things all his own way. From one stage to the next, his lead increased and Biasion was left trailing in the Finn's wake. Andrea Raghini crashed out on the Fafa stage, having gone off earlier on in the day as well. He was okay, but the car was badly damaged, and the Italians' rally came to a sudden halt. It had been over 12 months since Didier Auriol had last won a round of the World Rally Championship, and that was starting to concern him, and also some insiders at the Toyota team. The car was perfect here, but he found himself unable to do the times and at a loss to explain why. Meanwhile, Carlos Sainz was continuing his learning process about his new for 94 mount, the Subaru Impreza. As he became more familiar with the car, he got quicker, but he was still a little concerned about the gap between the Subaru and the Toyota. There was still more to come from the Impreza, he reckoned. Bruno Thierry crashed out on day 2, damaging the radiator too severely to continue on what had been his first gravel rally with the RAS Escort, while Colin McRae was as fast and spectacular as ever, co-driven by fellow Scot Derek Ringer. As ever in Portugal, the crowds were enormous, but this year crowd safety and crowd discipline was far better than in previous years. At last, it seems, they're getting the message. Behind the four-wheel drive supercars came the Formula 2 battle. Portuguese driver José Carlos Macedo took an early lead on asphalt, but then he had to change the suspension settings. He lost the Formula 2 lead to this man, Tommy Mäkinen. He then suffered gearbox problems, and then with an overheating engine, he had no time to service the car. He carried on until the engine eventually blew. That gave Macedo the lead back in Formula 2, and the Nissan team had shown their pace but not reliability. Also in the Formula 2 battle was Gregoire de Mavius, although the Belgian ex-Nissan driver admitted to still feeling his way in with the new car. He retired from third place in the Formula 2 battle on the third day with transmission failure. In Group N, the battle for showroom specification cars, Mohammed bin Sulayem took a height record at the Lusada Super Special stage, although when he landed, he damaged the engine. That led to retirement a few stages later. Fernando Perez, the local driver with his Group A Escort, was up to a fine 5th overall. And Colin McRae continued to impress. The Impreza was being driven on the limit all the time, until on special stage 25 he would go out of the rally. Midway through the tight and sinuous stage, the car had an electrical fire, and that was the end of McRae's hopes. With the flames already coming out from under the bonnet, McRae, undaunted, carried on, until eventually there was no return. McRae and Ringer looked for somewhere to park, and then ran for it. Once again, Colin had shown his obvious pace. All the Subaru team wanted now was some more reliability. Jörg Kankkunen then went on to win, and not only did he take victory in Portugal, he also moved into the lead of the World Championship. All in all, a good weekend for the Finn and Toyota. It was a 1-2 for the Castrol Baxilikas as the Frenchman Didier Auriol moved through into second place. Mickey Biazion was down in third. He just wasn't quite quick enough on the gravel stages. He knew that gave the advantage to the Toyota team. Carlos Sainz finished in fourth, second now in the championship with Biazion, but he still needed more time in the car, while José Carlos Macedo with his battered Renault won the Formula 2 battle after the opposition faltered. Group N was won by the Spaniard Jesus Puras. He finished 8th overall, while second in Formula 2 went to Pavel Sibera with the little 1300cc Skoda, some 25 minutes behind Macedo. Toyota's first and second with Biazion third for Ford, then Sainz and Perez a splendid 5th at the end of the second round of the championship. Kankkunen now led with Sainz and Biazion tying for second. Delacour was 4th ahead of Auriol, with Ericsson and Perez now tying for 6th. Toyota led the manufacturers' battle from Ford and Subaru, while GME, Renault and Skoda all jointly led Formula 2.